Prince Michael, from the Electorate of Vialuna, sat on his favorite bench in the park. The cool September night made him feel alive, like a special drink. The benches were not full. People in the park, who were tired and lazy, went home quickly because of the cool autumn air. The moon was rising above the roofs of the houses on the east side. Children laughed and played around the fountain. In the shadows, magical creatures like fauns and tree spirits played, not knowing people could see them. A hand organ, like a bird named Philomel, played music in a side street. Around the park, streetcars made noises like cats and trains roared like lions. Above the trees, there was a big, round, shining clock on an old public building. Prince Michael's shoes were very old and broken, worse than any cobbler could fix. His clothes were so bad that even a ragman would not want them. His face had a 2-week-old beard with gray, brown, red, and yellow colors, like a funny stage play. No man was rich enough to wear such a bad hat as his. Prince Michael sat on his favorite bench and smiled. He thought it was funny that he was rich enough to buy all the big, bright houses in front of him if he wanted. He could have as much gold, fancy cars, jewels, art, land, and estates as anyone in the big city of Manhattan, and still have much more left. He could eat with kings and queens. The social world, the world of art, and the best people would admire and copy him. He could have praise from the wisest, flattery, respect, pleasure, fame. All the best things in life were waiting for Prince Michael of Vialuna, whenever he wanted them. But he chose to sit in old clothes on a bench in a park. He had tried the good things in life and found them not good, so he left his rich life to find joy close to the real, simple heart of the world. These thoughts drifted through Prince Michael's mind as he smiled with his colorful beard. Dressed like the poorest person in the park, he loved to watch people. He found more happiness in helping others than in his riches and high position. It was his main joy to help people in need, to give wonderful gifts to those who needed help, and to make poor people happy with his royal gifts, given wisely. As Prince Michael looked at the bright clock in the tower, his kind smile turned a little sad. He had big thoughts, and he always felt sad about how the world was ruled by time. People rushed around, controlled by the little moving hands of a clock, which made him sad. After a while, a young man in fancy clothes came and sat on the third bench from the prince. For half an hour, he smoked cigars quickly, and then he started watching the bright clock above the trees. He was clearly upset, and the prince saw that his worry was somehow connected to the moving hands of the clock. Prince Michael got up and went to the young man's bench. "Excuse me for talking to you," he said, "but I see that you are worried. If it helps, I will tell you that I am Prince Michael, heir to the throne of the Electorate of Vialuna. I am here in disguise, as you can see from my clothes. I like to help people who need it. Maybe I can help with what is troubling you." The young man looked up at the prince with a bright look, but the worried line on his forehead did not go away. He laughed, but he was still worried. He decided to talk to the prince for a moment. "Nice to meet you, Prince," he said in a friendly way. "Yes, you do look like you're in disguise. Thanks for your offer to help, but I don't see how you can help me. It's a private problem, you know? But thanks anyway." Prince Michael sat next to the young man. He was often turned away, but never rudely. His kind manner and words made sure of that. "Clocks," said the prince, "are chains on the feet of people. I saw you looking at that clock all the time. Its face is like a boss. Its numbers are as tricky as a lottery ticket. Its hands are like a con man who makes an appointment with you to trick you. Let me ask you to stop being controlled by that silly clock. I don't usually, said the young man. I carry a watch except when I wear my best clothes. I know people like I know the trees and grass, said the prince seriously. I am very wise, I studied art, and I have a lot of money. There are not many problems I cannot fix. I have looked at your face, and I see honesty and goodness as well as worry. Please let me help you. Do not think I cannot help because of how I look. The young man looked at the clock again and frowned. When he looked away from the bright clock, he stared at a 4-story red brick house across the street. The shades were down, and the lights in many rooms shone dimly through them. 10 minutes to 9, said the young man with a sad gesture. He turned away from the house and took a few quick steps in the opposite direction. Stay, commanded Prince Michael in a strong voice. The young man turned around with a nervous laugh. I'll give her the 10 minutes and then I'm leaving, he muttered. Then he said to the prince, I'll join you in hating all clocks, my friend, and add women to the list too. Sit down, said the prince calmly. I do not agree with you about women. Women are the natural enemies of clocks and are our allies in fighting against these things that measure our mistakes and limit our fun. If you trust me, I would like you to tell me your story. The young man sat on the bench with a reckless laugh. Your Royal Highness, I will, he said, jokingly respectful. Do you see that house, the one with 3 upper windows lit? Well, at 6 o'clock I was in that house with the young lady I was engaged to. I had done something wrong, my dear prince. I had been a bad boy and she found out. I wanted her to forgive me, of course. We always want women to forgive us, don't we, prince? I need time to think, she said. There is one thing for sure. I will either fully forgive you, or I will never see you again. There will be no in-between. At exactly 8:30, she said, you may watch the middle upper window of the top floor. If I decide to forgive you, I will hang a white silk scarf out of that window. You will know that everything is as it was before, and you may come to me. If you see no scarf, you can consider that everything between us is over forever. That, the young man finished bitterly, is why I have been watching that clock. The time for the signal to appear passed 23 minutes ago. Do you wonder why I am a little upset, my Prince of Rags and Whiskers? Let me tell you again, said Prince Michael in his calm, smooth voice, that women are the natural enemies of clocks. Clocks are bad. Women are a blessing. The signal might still appear. Never on your kingdom, said the young man hopelessly. You don't know Marian, of course. She's always on time, to the minute. That was the first thing about her that I liked. I got a rejection instead of the scarf. I should have known at 8:31 that it was over. I'll go west on the 11:45 train tonight with Jack Milburn. It's over. I'll try Jack's ranch for a while and then go to the Klondike and drink whiskey. Good night, Prince. Prince Michael smiled his mysterious, gentle smile and held the young man's coat sleeve. The bright light in the prince's eyes softened. Wait, he said seriously, until the clock strikes. I have more wealth and power and knowledge than most men. But when the clock strikes, I am afraid. Stay with me until then. This woman will be yours. You have the word of the hereditary prince of Vialuna. On the day of your marriage, I will give you $100,000 and a palace on the Hudson River. But there must be no clocks in that palace. They measure our mistakes and limit our fun. Do you agree? Of course, said the young man cheerfully. They're annoying anyway, always ticking and striking and making you late for dinner. He looked again at the clock in the tower. The hands showed 3 minutes to 9. I think, said Prince Michael, that I will sleep a little. The day has been tiring." He lay down on a bench as if he had done it before. "You will find me in this park on any evening when the weather is good," said the prince sleepily. "Come to me when your marriage day is set and I will give you a check for the money." "Thanks, Your Highness," said the young man seriously. "It doesn't look like I will need that palace on the Hudson, but I appreciate your offer just the same." Prince Michael fell into a deep sleep. His old hat fell from the bench to the ground. The young man picked it up, put it over the prince's messy face, and moved one of his relaxed limbs into a more comfortable position. "Poor guy," he said, as he drew the torn clothes closer around the prince's chest. The clock struck 9 loudly and suddenly. The young man sighed again, turned to look at the house of his lost hopes, and shouted with joy. From the middle upper window, a white silk scarf waved in the dusk, a wonderful, divine sign of forgiveness and promised happiness. A round, comfortable man who was hurrying home walked by, unaware of the delights of waving silk scarves in the dimly lit park. "Can you tell me the time, sir?" asked the young man. The man, thinking his watch was safe, pulled it out and said, 29.5 minutes past 8, sir. Then he looked at the clock in the tower and said more. "By George, that clock's half an hour fast. First time in 10 years I've known it to be wrong. This watch of mine never varies a..." But the man was talking to no one. He turned and saw the young man running towards the house with 3 lit upper windows. In the morning, 2 policemen came by on their way to their beats. The park was empty except for one tired figure sleeping on a bench. They stopped and looked at it. "It's Dopey Mike," said one. "He gets high every night. Park bum for 20 years. On his last legs, I guess." The other policeman bent down and looked at something crumpled in the sleeper's hand. "Wow," he said. "He has a $50 bill anyway. Wish I knew what he smokes." And then rap, 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 went the club of reality against the shoes of Prince Michael, of the Electorate of Vialuna.